welcome once again to EWTN's Bookmark. I'm Doug Keck, your host, a special program with Msgr Xavier from Lourdes, and we're going to be talking to him about Lourdes' media outreach to the world. Welcome, Msgr. Great to have you here.
Good to be here, too.
And people will remember back a while ago, it was back actually in the late spring, you were on actually with Father Joseph, who's a big aficionado of Lourdes.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we had the pleasure to welcome him. It was great.
Right.
We have a lot of people coming to Lourdes, you know, so
Right.
a good number of Americans too, so
Right.
great.
Exactly. Now, did you get a chance to see the Lourdes Grotto we actually have that was built up in Hansville?
Yeah, and Father Joseph was very anxious about to know whether that was
it was going to pass muster?
Well, the correct measurements, the right color, and I told him, well, it's a wonderful thing that you've been able to build. Yeah,
right.
It's really great, and
right.
And it really, we have grottos of Lourdes everywhere in the world. It's an
right.
incredible network. So
there's an amazing number I know in the United States. I know up in Connecticut there's one that's
we
Lourdes
have
at Litchfield.
Yeah, I mean we have some figures saying that there are more than 20,000 grottos in the world. I mean replicants. Obviously,
right.
there is just one single grotto,
right.
but there are replicants. I mean everywhere. Yeah.
In the certainly in the United States, it was always popular. Was a great movie years ago, The Song of Bernadette, which was done with Jennifer Jones. Back in the 40s, which was a very, very popular
sure.
movie, and I think certainly popularized Our Lady of Lourdes that
sure.
much more in the United States. Let me ask you, just as far as people going to Lourdes, you know, we see in the United States, we see in most of Europe and in many parts of the world, where the faith, you know, maybe the practices of the faith is not as much as we've seen maybe 50 years ago, and things like that. So are people still going to places like Lourdes, and if so, what countries do they usually come from? What's your experience?
Well, there's been many major shifts, I mean, over the past years, I mean, over the past decades, obviously because there is a secularization process taking place in Europe. And therefore, the number of Europeans is decreasing, but at the same time, we have more people coming from America, from Latin America, and from Asia. Months ago, we had more people from Asia in the sanctuary than people from Europe.
Would that be mostly the Philippines or
that
India?
Would be from India,
what?
Sri Lanka, Korea, the Philippines. So that's really growing, and also from people from the Middle East. And so they're coming with different traditions, religious traditions.
Do you see much from Africa or not so much?
Not so much. I would say for political reasons, because Europe, you know, is trying to prevent for immigration problems, you know.
So it's a little harder for them to
get a visa. So that would be the reason.
Because you do have a certain Francophile version in Africa where
well,
people have learned
yeah, sure.
French
I mean, through the
stuff,
French missionaries, you know, there's been a widespread of the devotion to Our Lady of Lourdes. Right at the beginning of the 20th century, one missionary out of two was French in the world, and so they've been very influential in widespreading and spreading, that devotion to Our Lady. Yeah.
Now, the people who go to Lourdes, for the most part, is your experience they're going there because they've heard about it, they're just kind of interested in seeing this place, it's a novelty, it's a religious pilgrimage, they're looking for a healing, a little bit of all of those things?
They're looking for healing, I would say. You know, we are living in a world where you are always under pressure. You have to be good all the time, and so in Lourdes, you can be yourself. I mean, and therefore you can be accessible to God's grace, and for me that's very important. You see sick people going around, and they are taken for what they are. They're always in the front row. They're always starting the processions, and so you know it's a place where you can be vulnerable and where and that's accepted. Right. And you are accepted as you are. And so it's really a wonderful shrine. You know, religious practice is decreasing in Europe. So you have fewer and fewer church goers, but at the same time, that's why we need these shrines, so that the people still can be connected to the church and to the faith. And a lot of people are coming back to faith when they're in Lourdes. I mean, I can hear confession of people that haven't been to church for 30 years, 40 years, and suddenly they're experiencing that's grace of being in Lourdes.
Now, do those people, in your experience, usually come because they were looking for healing, or they just happen to come with a tour group or someone else?
It depends. It all depends. We had major pilgrimages in the past, you know, with sick people, hospitaliers, and so volunteers, etc. But nowadays you have more individuals coming in, so through tour operators, and so they don't really know what they're doing there. So, for example, you have some guided tours where they're mixing up the whole story of Bernadette and Fatima. So suddenly Bernadette had a brother, had a sister.
She's got a couple of secrets too.
Exactly. So it's quite frightening for us. But at the same time, also, you have people really coming there because they are looking for devotion. They know that they are looking for healing, and you would be amazed at the number of bottles of water that we were sending to the world. I mean, really, people are thirsting for that healing, and Lourdes is a good place for that. Yeah.
You know, sometimes we hear, you know, because of the healing aspect of Lourdes, people say, well, how many actual healings are there? You know, physical healings, and sometimes you'll hear from, let's say, anti-Catholic people. They say, well, if God's going to do this miraculous healing, why does he regrow an arm? Why is it always something that, you know, well, this person couldn't walk, now they could walk. Well, maybe they could walk before. What do you answer to somebody who's not sure about those things? We live in a world today where people are very cautious about putting their faith in anything.
Well, I mean, that's not the point, actually, of Lourdes. The healing, the physical healings, they happen, but they're not encouraged and promoted by the church itself. It's just a grace that happens to some, and we have to acknowledge that, but no more than that. And so the other part, the one on which we put the emphasis really, is that we see a place where people can be reconciled with themselves, with their story, and with God and with the church. That happened to me many times. I mean, many times, incredible things. People, I just had a man who came to me, he was in the military, and he was at 50 years ago at the border between Algeria and Morocco.
Okay.
And he told me that he was in a prison camp, and that he tortured people every day for about 2 years, and he never had a chance to talk about that. And so for me, the real miracle that suddenly the people feel that they are accepted as they are, and therefore they can talk and share their fears, their hopes, their dreams, and that's for me very important.
In a sense, that last shall be first and the first shall be last.
Exactly.
There's a place at Lourdes where the people who the world would see as the outcasts or the people on the side, they're not very good utilitarian. They're not producing very much. Where the Lord himself sees them as the most important in many ways.
Exactly.
Right.
But even if you're in good health, even if you're wealthy, etc., you have your place also in Lourdes, because you can serve, you can help others, and that's really the combination of the two.
Right.
To have sick people and good people. I mean, people in good standing and good.
And people can now people volunteer to actually do those things, like help people.
You have about 20,000 volunteers a year you have in Lourdes, so it's just incredible.
Right, and I would think with that we see like so much that many times it's in the helping others that people really get healed, right?
Exactly, and you know, it's not just a one-shot thing. I mean, people are preparing to go to Lourdes. I mean, it's far away. It's difficult to get there somehow. You have to take the plane, you have to take the train, or you drive for 45 hours, 48 hours, whatever, to Lourdes, and so it's really a commitment. People are not going there just by chance because they happen to be around. They really want to go there, and because we've been a place really where God and the Virgin Mary have helped others and to find their own way. A sense to the life.
Right.
And you know, our culture is really looking for meaning. And there in Lourdes, you have a lot of that. I mean, people can find certainly the.
Well, do you think that that's also the case, whether it's at Fatima or something like that, and certainly in Lourdes, where, in a sense, our Lord and Our Ladies tend to do these things in places that aren't right. They don't do it in the middle of Rome. They're not doing it in the middle of Paris. They do it in these kind of small, out-of-the-way places. Indeed. Because that's how our Lord tends to work. You know, he does the powerful things among the little. In a hidden way.
Right. It's not in great places. I mean, it's really in the countryside. It's very peaceful. You know, it's always with very humble people. Right. Bernadette was the poorest girl in town. She was totally uneducated. Mm-hmm. She wasn't reliable because she was a girl, so her testimony had no price, no value whatsoever. And she's been the one chosen by God. Yeah, as in many occasions, that's the way the Lord works.
Right. Didn't her family live like in an old jail cell for a while?
Exactly.
At some point
in
time?
In the cachot. In a jail. Yeah. And so she was going out to get some wood because they had no wood for the fireplace. Right. Yeah. So it's very basic. I mean, it's very accessible for everybody to gather because we have religious, processions, we have masses all the time. And so the people really feel that they are supported by the prayer of others. And you certainly, it's incredible. You make the experience also of the universality of the church. Because in Lourdes, it's from the very beginning, it's been an international sanctuary, and therefore you speak different languages. You hear people coming from all around the world. Right. In the liturgy, we use different languages, and so suddenly you realize that your faith is shared by many in the world, and that's a really an incredible experience.
And it's very reinforcing. It's a sense what EWTN tries to do in its own way through the media, through multiple languages around the world, is to allow people who are dealing on a regular basis in their secular world to come home, have that kind of oasis to connect to their faith, to help them get from Sunday to Sunday so that they realize, I'm not alone for believing these things. Praying the rosary, I'm not the only person who does this. I'm not the only person who actually believes in that I'm going to Mass and that's really the real presence. That there's people all over the world. And I was listening to what you were saying too, and I was thinking about, you were talking about how the Lord works in a sense of, well, not as many Europeans are going, but then they get filled in by these others who come. I think of, the Protestant Reformation, where X number of former Catholics left, but all those people who came into the church in the New World almost balanced out the people who were leaving. So it's amazing how that works.
Catholicism has changed dramatically in the past century. The first Catholic country in number a century ago was France.
Right. The eldest daughter of the church, right?
Yeah, well, and now it's Brazil. And so the Catholicism is changing a lot, and you can tell now we have a Pope coming from Latin America that would be unthinkable a century ago. And so what you see in Lourdes is exactly also the reflection of what's taking place in the church. And so it's not because we're in Europe, in a secularized country somehow, that we don't benefit also from the influx of new Christians, and they're coming with their faith, with their hopes.
Does that have an impact on the Europeans who see them come, and does it at least make them stop and think?
Very much so. We had the Virgin Mary told Bernadette that she should go to the spring and wash her face. And so from there, we have put in place baths so that the people can be washed. We had Indians and the people from Sri Lanka coming in, and they've been lining up for 2 days so that they would be able to have access to the baths. The French were thinking that they're just crazy initially, but suddenly they got really moved and wondering what the hell was taking place there, because the people were leaving the bath just crying, with a sense of peace, with a sense of reconciliation, and they've been waiting for 2 days long, just in line.
But those are also people who come from an environment where the church isn't always accepted, and where there's a certain level of persecution, and where they don't have access to this. Sometimes when we have too much of something, we take it for granted, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it might be too easy for us in Europe to be to have access to the church, not to be a Christian, but to have access to the church. And there suddenly they just realized that to be a Christian means also that you get to be involved and to serve. It's not about, as the Pope puts it regarding the Jubilee year, it's not just about receiving God's grace or receiving God's mercy, but it's also about doing works of mercy yourself.
Right, right.
And there in Lourdes, you can do it exactly.
Right, and then that's the whole thing. As a Catholic, you're supposed to take the talents our Lord has given you and spread those out and multiply them out, not bury them and say, well, I'm doing fine, I'm just going to hide in my house until my final day comes. You're really being called to do something with that talent, not bury it.
Yeah, the problem is that most of the time you don't know what your talents are. And so you need places like these so that suddenly you're confronted to sick people, to people that normally you don't want to see. And suddenly you have to deal with them, you have to talk to them. And you just cannot just shake their hand and leave. You moved in the deep of your heart. And therefore, suddenly you realize that eventually you can be talented also in dealing with the sick and old people, and that you can, that eventually you should spend time with your own family instead of just running to business and doing and you many other things, very important things.
And you realize, in maybe almost a selfish way, how much you get out of that interaction, and when you deal with other people who are suffering, and you know, how, like you said, what a positive, powerful impact that it can have on your own life. And I think it leads one to also maybe be a little less judgmental and have more sympathy when they're dealing with you know, foibles and failures in their family, you know, and other people, to not be so quick to criticize.
Very much so. You know, when we, in the processions, you know, we had the wheelchairs in the front line, but I'm always wondering who's helping who. I mean, the one who's pushing the wheelchair, or the one on the chair that is really helping the one behind, because suddenly it reminds him of his own dignity and the true values of life.
Right, exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about the fact that, you know, Lourdes is a place, but Lourdes is, in a sense, you know, it's a grace-filled location, but there's a way for it to get out to the world, and certainly that's part of your mission, I think. You know, obviously we've been doing some stuff recently where we were getting a rosary on Sundays, and also you've been doing stuff through Cateo in France for several years, etc. What are your hopes for trying to use the media to expand the message of Lourdes to the world?
Well, I mean, obviously we are fully aware that not everybody will be able to have access to Lourdes as a place, as a location. But we think that really the message of Lourdes should be accessible to all. I mean, it's been entrusted to us, and I'm local. I'm born in Lourdes, so it's my my sanctuary. But at the same time, I want the people to feel at home when they come, or even if they're not able to come, to have access to that message. It's a message of grace. It's a message of hope. And so using medias, I mean, is a way for us to widespread and that message to the world. And so my mission is going to, in the coming years, to go around the world and working with the people there, with the different hospitality you have there, and so developing new programs. Hoping that eventually we will start a rosary in Spanish, German, French, whatever.
Hopefully that we can carry on our other channels.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
exactly,
eventually, and also, you know, to produce some docudrama regarding the life of Bernadette and what is taking place also in Lourdes. It's incredible. I mean, the commitment and the faith of the people that are coming there. And for me as a priest, it's very, very moving and very humbling. You know, in the confessionals, people are crying, but most of the time I'm crying too.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, people are coming to the confessional in Lourdes not to say that they just have eaten some chocolate during Lent.
I didn't fast an hour before Mass or something.
No,
right. Okay.
they're coming there because they know that there in Lourdes, it's a special place of reconciliation, and therefore we have abortion confessions. I mean, every day we have people that have been doing, you know, grave sins, and suddenly they're looking for relief. Right. And really, it's a life experience for them.
Right, like the soldier from the Algerian Civil War.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
And everything,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And things people did at the time. And
but it's, as a priest, it's very humbling.
Right.
Because you see yourself really as an instrument of God's grace.
Right.
And obviously you're not worthy of it.
Right.
But you're a privileged testimony of it.
Well, growing up in Lourdes yourself, and obviously there's documentaries that we have available through EWTN. Called by Mary is one, and there's wonderful books through our catalog. The Wonders of Lourdes, 150 Miraculous Stories, and there's also wonderful books on Bernadette. When you were growing up, how were you introduced? Lourdes is right there. We always say in New York, you know, you grow up in New York, but you never go to the Statue of Liberty because it's already there. You're in Lourdes. I mean, when you're growing up with that, is that something your family was, you know, rich in its history and Lourdes was important to it, or was this something that you came later in life to?
Well, I mean, like a New Yorker who would never go to the Statue of Liberty, as you said, I would go to Lourdes for shopping, you know, in the malls. Not to the Grotto much, but at the same time, it's really a part of history. It's a part of my culture. My family has been there for many, many years, many centuries.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So was your family there? Did you have relatives who were there at the time when it happened in 1858?
Oh, very much so.
Then?
Yeah, very much so. So we have letters about that time, and we have letters about all the buildings that have been built in the sanctuary. So we have testimonies.
So did you have any relatives who actually knew her then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, sure. And so. And we have, and we've been involved also into the process of beatification and canonization. So, so that's really part of my life, I would say. But at the same time, you know, when you're living there, you don't get too much involved. And it took me a while before I would really get involved there as a priest. First of all, I came there as a seminarian. And I had to learn about the history of Bernadette. I mean, we would talk obviously of Bernadette and the Grotto, but I wouldn't know much about it. And suddenly, when I was 20,
what did you learn more about her than what you had learned as a child? What was it, the insights that you got later on that you're talking about? Into Bernadette or into Lourdes?
I would say. What I've learned is that the humility and the really, she was very humble, very poor, and that's grace would be accessible to the lowest people.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was really something for me, really new. I was a seminarian at the time, and they would ask me to tour, you know, pilgrims in the sanctuary, and I had no idea where to go. And suddenly I had to learn about the history.
You weren't mixing up Fatima and Lourdes, though, like some of the other guys,
really,
right?
not yet. Not yet.
You had that straight.
But I had to learn about it, and to see the people coming in. I mean, yourself, when you leave there, I mean, you're just amazed how far the people can come, and just to make that experience, and it's very humbling. Yeah.
Right. Well, and people can go to your website, right? You have a website.
Yeah, we do have a website. Yeah.
And that's in multiple languages.
It's in 6 different languages so far. We're going to expand it, and so people can leave their prayer requests. They get information on how to go to Lourdes and the way they can prepare the pilgrimage. Right. Yeah.
So
and it's going to be very important because in the upcoming months we're going to begin the Jubilee year also. So
okay, right, exactly.
So I mean, Lourdes is going to be a place for the Jubilee year where you will be able to have the indulgence, the plenary indulgence, and so.
This is for the Year of Mercy coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah, so it's going to be an important place.
Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful, Msgr. I heard such great things about you when Peter and John Elson had
Good Lord.
been
You
over
shouldn't
there.
trust them.
And I know I've seen they're very accurate in their portrayal, and we really appreciate having a wonderful partner like you at a great place like Lourdes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Msgr. Xavier. And we're talking about Lourdes and the great outreach and the great place to go as a pilgrimage, a place to visit for healing, spiritually and physically possibly, but also a great place. Go to the website and find out more about how you might want to visit Lourdes, and certainly watch some of the programming EWTN hopes to have in the coming months from Lourdes. I'm Doug Keck. Thank you for joining us on this special EWTN Bookmark.